Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Gary Briley. I'm the Global Partnerships Director here at ToughTech. And today I'm going to be talking about tyre pressure monitoring systems and the challenges they face within any off the road operation or OTR operation. I'll be mainly focusing on mining and extraction as well as construction. Now, before I start, I want to thank the community out there for all of the questions and comments that I've been getting through before this webinar. And indeed, the team are going to put up some of the questions at the end of this, but I would invite you during this webinar to send me any questions and I'll answer them or take them offline at the end of this presentation. Speaking of team, today I'd like you to introduce a team that will be assisting me as well as myself. We have Barry Lowe with global expertise of over 30 years in connected technologies, Tak Mashonga, one of the market segment specialists here at ToughTech, responsible for off-the-road Earthmover and fleet haulage, and Ryan Hibbert, the market specialist for mobile crane, mechanical handling and fleet haulage. So let's get into our subject today. And that subject is about OTR. And we need to explain what we do first, which is relative to the off-the-road market. Well, we design here at ToughTech and manufacture and distribute tyre pressure monitorings and IoT, the Internet of Things system. We use our groundbreaking technology, which is the Atlas product. Now, the Atlas product itself is a vehicle telematic or a machine telematic system. It's flexible, it's customizable, and it can monitor any sensor or electronics and display them on a single dashboard or indeed a mobile app, which I'll come to talk about in a little while. Essentially, it's a telematics one-stop shop. Now, tyre pressure monitoring is at the heart of everything we do, and offering a connected tyre pressure monitoring system for OTR is very demanding in itself. Why? Because we're dealing with the most challenging of applications and the most demanding environments on the planet. And we have fleet health management for tyre pressure monitoring solutions, which again I'll come to talk about later. Now, there's a heritage to the Atlas product, and that heritage began in 2017 when we brought connected technology, in specifically tyre pressure monitoring connected technology, to the OTR market. We have Atlas systems operating around the globe in thousands of operations and quarries. Now, those quarries include in Europe, Asia, Africa, Australasia, and North America. And our clients are major original equipment manufacturers, OEMs, heavy haulage industry, mining and extraction, road transport, underground mining, ports, and mobile crane operators. Those are just to name a few. And it's important I keep that message. TPMS, and particularly connected TPMS, is at the heart of everything we do. Now, let's start the subject by examining some of the challenges faced by quarrying managers throughout the world. And I speak to many throughout the world on a daily basis. And it's good to recognize the different challenges they're under. The first one, of course, is environmental concerns and site maintenance. Environmental concerns. Why? Because you're digging a large hole in the ground, and deforestation, soil contamination, ensuring best possible practice with the environment is maintained. Those are considerations, and ongoing site management as well are ongoing considerations for the quarry manager. Safety concerns, not only for the operators. I mean, quarrying and mining can be hazardous work, from blasting to making sure that equipment doesn't fail and therefore cause accidents. That's a major concern for the quarry manager. Cost management is another challenge for the quarry manager. Why? Well, we know that mining and extraction by its very nature is very heavily invested. There's a lot of upfront capital expenditure, and indeed managing assets as we go along on an ongoing basis for the quarry manager is also very important. And those assets include fuel and tyres, etc., but also, more importantly, people as well. And that brings me to my next point, which is talent management. And for talent management, the quarry manager wants the very best people working for them. Now, those very best people want to have a very good working experience. And the way that a quarry manager can ensure that is by having the right tools available for their personnel to conduct some quality work. Community relations are also very important for a quarry manager. Many of the time I've been on site where quarry managers have been on the radio to get bowsers when there's been excessive dust, for example, coming from their site. They're very conscious that they are ambassadors for their company, and they're accountable within local communities for ensuring that these operations are managed efficiently with consideration for the community. Now, finally, the whole purpose of mining and extraction for the quarry manager is obviously to have production, quality production. The site manager has to meet targets, and the amount of materials that they produce obviously has to be on time and of a quality that the customer will buy. So these production targets are very crucial to understand, and also for the quarry manager, more importantly, the customer's expectations has to be met as well. So having an efficient, moving and productive fleet will help ensure production targets are met. So let's take a look at what is the value proposition of a tyre pressure monitoring system. We've seen some of the challenges that the quarry manager has. Let's have a look at the value proposition a tyre pressure monitoring system can bring. Well, safety, we know this through tyre management, reduced carbon footprint and fuel efficiency. It goes without saying that it's not just fuel efficiency. Everybody knows there is an equation that's readily available from most manufacturers, and I'll quote one that's constantly told to us that 10% of under inflation can equate to 1 or 2% of fuel that's added to the bill, reducing the carbon footprint and environmental impact. Well, just the other day, I managed to inspect a fleet with one of the managers, and we saw 20% reduction in some of the tyres that were operating, or 20% reduction in a tyre pressure, for example, can lead to up to 30% reduction in the tyre life of that tyre. And therefore, that can affect the carbon footprint and the environmental impact that this tyre under inflation brings. Asset management and security, not necessarily the security of vehicles on the site being stolen, but those vehicles, making sure that there is access or approved access for anybody that uses those machines. And many of the other challenges the value proposition addresses of a tyre pressure monitoring system, such as resource management, fleet efficiencies, and journey health, which I'll come on to talk about. With any system that you install, tyre pressure monitoring system, let's be honest, it's got to have financial benefits for the operator and the user of the system. It's got to have a great return on investment. And you'll often hear me say, as alongside it's got a tire pressure monitoring system, has to be easy to fit, it's got to be easy to use, and it's got to be an affordable price in order for the operator to get a great return on investment. But that great return on investment is not just capital, it translates into things like extended tyre life, reducing fuel consumption, and increasing safety and reducing downtime, better use of resources and reduce maintenance, not through the fact that you're ignoring problems on tyres, for example, but your proactivity at an early stage can help reduce maintenance of tyres, increasing compliance and also reducing waste. So, tire waste, fuel waste, etc., and even waste of your resources, such as people as well. Now, everything a tyre pressure monitoring system should be able to do includes collecting data, usable data from those machines and sensors that the system, particularly when I talk about the Atlas system today, the data has to be collected and it's got to be useful data that allows the operator to have an operational insight into their site or business. And if you can do that, you can make both maintenance and business decisions very, very quickly. And it's the way the world operates in business now. So in industry, it's even more crucial to have an operational insight. And I don't think it's amiss to say we want to increase profitability through productivity through using that data. Now, let's have a look at some of the exponents, if you like, of tyre pressure monitoring systems and the challenges they face in the OTR market. I'll deal with tyre manufacturers first. I've often said that tyre manufacturers have been very evangelical over the years. In fact, the best part of 4 decades of ensuring the user of their tyres uses them with the optimal pressure that they recommend in them. I can say genuinely, from the tyre manufacturers I've known over the best part of 3 decades, they actually want you to keep their tyres on the rims as much as possible to eliminate waste. But you become a very happy customer if you can extract the most usage out of these tyres. Now, tyre manufacturers recognized some time ago that tyres themselves in the future will no longer just be sold on their own. There has to be a process of monitoring the performance of the tyres. And indeed, in Norway the other day, I had a customer that told me that they would not be able to sell their tyres without the use of a tyre pressure monitoring system because these are what customers' expectations are now. So tyre manufacturers offer a variety of systems, but they're responding to really the needs of the users of those tyres. Original equipment manufacturers, or OEMs as I'll term them, well, they're starting now to recognize the importance, and it's really through a user pull of tyre pressure monitoring systems. In fact, we've started to see some being introduced on machines at the moment. There have been optional fits in the past, but now OEMs are recognizing that really, alongside, like the tyre manufacturers, alongside the tyre has to be a way of monitoring this. For the OEM, though, they have to have other considerations because they will fit the system, may not necessarily be designed by them, but they've got to overcome a number of challenges, such as ensuring sensors, whether inside or outside the tyres, are compatible with the operations are going to be performing in. integrating into their system and perhaps their service system as well is another consideration for them to do. So they can liaise with their service providers in order to ensure that the customer gets the best service they possibly can and keeps productivity high. And that neatly brings us into the tyre service provider, because the tyre service provider is often the front line of tyre pressure monitoring solutions. Why? Because the customer tends to deal direct with the tyre service provider rather than the OEM or the tyre manufacturer themselves. So the tyre service providers themselves are recognizing that they're no longer able to just sell tyres, they have to sell solutions alongside those tyres. So by providing a solution, they provide more of a consultancy to the user of the tyre pressure monitoring system. But again, tyre service providers have to rely on either the tyre manufacturers' tyre pressure monitoring systems, or they have to seek them elsewhere. And the good thing about the Atlas system, for example, is it's a connected system that allows a tyre service provider to easily integrate it into their business model quickly and efficiently. I'll come on to that subject a little bit more, but what I want to do is talk about just quickly some of the issues, as I mentioned on the right-hand column here. Reliability. Now, all those tyre manufacturers, OEMs, tyre service providers understand that historically we've had a lot of failed, or in the marketplace has been a lot of failed and unreliable systems. In fact, people trying to migrate systems, TPMS systems that are not designed for the OTR market, into the OTR machines themselves. I often say here that our biggest competitor are those systems in the marketplace that have failed and not been reliable. For reliability, we've built our heritage as a company on tyre pressure monitoring systems, and our heritage is indeed in the OTR market. So we've come at it from the most challenging aspects of both environment and application. And as I mentioned, there are harsh operating conditions for around the globe. We deal with a global community of mining and extraction that faces the same environmental challenges all over the world now. Now, the operator and the user, and indeed the seller of tyre pressure monitoring systems, must adopt a best practice. For the user, they've got to understand that both training and ongoing maintenance of the system is essential. But the provider of the TPMS solution, and indeed the connected TPMS solution, has the greatest part to play, and that's through the after sales support. Because it's indeed the after sales support that is the crucial link. Why? Because the provider provides the education, provides the training, provides the ongoing servicing of the systems to ensure the customer's experience, whether that be a tyre service provider or the user, is 100% satisfactorily undertaken. So after sales support, as we'll see, and I'm often told, is the most crucial element. Often it's the time I'm told, we sell tyres, we sell machines, we just do mining, we do mining and extraction. We are not computer or technology experts. No, but we understand that business. And so we're able to integrate our after sales support as part of the sales process. Now, why do we do tyre pressure monitoring? Well, there's a very good reason. Tyre maintenance takes up a lot of productivity time away from the operator. But let's examine some of the things that we have to get right. For example, inflation pressure. Well, a tyre is literally a bag of air. A tyre is constructed, think about it, a tyre is constructed to carry the load safely over a distance at a certain speed. So, having the correct inflation pressure, as well as the benefits of fuel and tyre wear, etc., means that you can undertake that as its role. Tread depth, the importance of which varies from tyre to tyre, machine to machine. But the whole point of having good tread depth is also to help evacuate, as well as some of the materials that surround the tyre in its operation, from water to mud, etc. Tyre damage is a particular favourite of mine, because one of the things I quite like about OTR tyres is the fact that they can and they are built to sustain a lot of tyre damage, but it's recognising and having the expertise to recognise what tyre damage is going to affect that tyre further on down its life under operational conditions. Sometimes that's very difficult to do because you can't see the unseen, but you can obviously inspect it and make sure that you're able to recognize what's serious and what's not serious. And of course, mounting and demounting, all taken under professional supervision, and tyre service providers provide excellent ways of accessing expertise in making sure this is safely done. So uneven wear, cuts and punctures, bead damage, and O-ring damage are all things that are necessary in tyre maintenance. But I have a message here that surrounds all of this. Yes, the importance of regular tyre checks, whether that is a visual inspection before you get into the cab, or, for example, at regular maintenance inspections, yes, we must keep those. Those are, though, when the machine is static. And the importance of regular tyre checks should be on a minute by minute basis. So what we can do is we can detect anomalies early by using technology, by in particular using the Atlas TPMS technology that highlights any anomalies. So let's talk about that connected tyre pressure monitoring system of Atlas. Now, choosing the right tyre, well, that's the basics, that's the essential part of it. But it's important to know that having the right tyre is much more than just an operational. It's also can affect productivity. For example, many's the time I've recommended tyres, flotation tyres in a past career, which has helped productivity and maintenance. So where there's been yielding ground, for example, the importance of choosing the right tyre is essential. And data could give you that information in order to do that. Proactive maintenance, and how do we do that? Well, we utilize the tyre pressure monitoring system, the connected tyre pressure monitoring system. So let's have a look at that illustration I've put at the bottom there. So we take in this case, our tyre pressure and temperature. We then are able to access that information, and we work on that information to proactively maintain our fleet, and the benefits of which includes increasing safety, tyre life, and fuel efficiencies as well. And we need to readily access that information on the go and in the back office. So multiple players have a hand in making sure the safety of the operator is looked at, plus also the proactive maintenance on the fleet. Now, let's have a look at a perfect example. And if you regularly visit our website or accessed our current newsletter, then you'll see we've highlighted a case that we feel for the community is groundbreaking in the fact that Génie Civil Services are France's leading independent tyre service partner as part of the Monnier Group. They use Atlas technology as part of their business model. And speaking with one of the directors the other day, they are quite categorical in the praise of the Atlas system. Why? Because they have stated that over 70% of all problems which were alerted to them via the Atlas system is immediately dealt with. They deal with them. And as a result of this, the early intervention of the system, their customers are very happy because there's an increase in productivity, which can be measured through this rapid response of over 70% to the alerts on tyres. Indeed, I was talking to the director at one particular conference, and at the same time, one of his guys was actually repairing a tyre before the customer came in. The customer was absolutely delighted when he walked into work because his machine was ready to go at a small cost of having the OTR tyre serviced before his man had even started. So a real good way to proactively maintain the fleet. Let's examine some of the key components that are used within the OTR TPMS system of Atlas. And it's very important to visualize these because the many questions I normally get is that systems are very, very complicated to fit. They don't have to be. And I'm going to show you why it doesn't have to be. First, we'll start with a sensor. And in this case, I've highlighted a tyre pressure monitoring sensor. It's a sensor that's screwed onto the valve. I prefer these either for a standard or a large bore, in my experience, and in thousands of my customers' experiences. The fact that they don't have to remove a tyre in order to understand the pressures and remotely connect to those pressures is an absolute plus for our clients. No need to remove the tyres also means that there's an increase in productivity when fitting tyre pressure monitoring systems. So where does all that information go in order to be processed and put into data? Well, the heart of it really is a small gateway. And that gateway, the Atlas gateway, has it's a very flexible hardware with multiple I/O capabilities. With cellular, GPS, Bluetooth, and indeed we're working with underground mining customers now to provide solution with Wi-Fi. The most important element, though, of the Atlas gateway, and one which is crucial to all operators, is the fact that it's battery backed. And why do I feel this is perhaps one of the most crucial elements of connected tyre pressure monitoring systems? Well, the Atlas unit having a rechargeable battery means one thing. When the operator isolates their machine, the Atlas unit is still processing the information on tyre temperature and tyre pressure. Is that important? Yes. Why? Because at the end of the day, all tyre manufacturers recommend that you take the pressures on the tyres whilst the tyre is cold. And if the tyre is cold, it will give you a true reading. Now, often in the past, tyre pressure monitoring systems have not allowed the operator to remotely access the information. And so therefore, a tyre service provider has had to send their personnel very early in the morning in order to conduct tyre pressure monitoring checks. That's part of history now. The Atlas system has confined that to history. So better use of resources for the tyre service provider, but also the operator is able to get a true indicator of tyre pressures and even record the tyre temperature as well. Now, how do we consume this information? And I've got a slide to talk about that. But we can consume this information via a mobile app. And the Atlas unit itself gives you a mobile app, and it also allows you on a platform to have a dashboard and to have insight into all of the fleet and all of the estate of the user. Now, the mobile app is there and it's designed to help you set up the system itself. So I mentioned the system should be always easy to fit. The mobile app walks the person fitting the system through the process. It's so easy to fit this. You're able to also customize and set the parameters on the mobile phone of the pressures and temperatures you wish to have alerts to. Most importantly, as well, it helps diagnose any problems that occur with the installation. So you can be very confident, even though it takes a short time. Things like, for example, the RF signal. You're able to have a look and understand, hey, I'm getting all my tyre and wheel positions, everything's feeding into the antenna. I'm very happy, and this is the RF signal that I'm receiving. So a real plus when installing. And of course, like all apps, apps are there for convenience. You can monitor tyre pressures, tyre temperatures, for example, specifically with the Atlas system, wherever you are in the world. So wherever your fleet is in the world, wherever you are in the world, you're able to monitor and access that information to there. And again, crucially, the alerts that are pushed through can also be pushed through on the mobile app. Oh, and it's also very timely for me to tell you that installation can take between 30 to 60 minutes, depending on the size of the vehicle or the machine. So one slide I have got here allows you to visualize how this system's fit up. Often I'm told that the old standalone systems where the operator only had access to the information in a standalone part meant some operators, not all, but some operators of machinery didn't like continual alerts where there's a tyre problem so often. Sometimes they'd unplug the wires, etc. Well, the Atlas unit is discreetly put away from even the operator in terms of receiving the information. So there are no wires that need to be undone, etc. But more crucially, those components that I've put on this slide help you to visualize all that is needed to access connected tyre pressure monitoring technology. Very few components. And often I'm told by operators that they receive systems and they are so complicated and nobody really understands how to put them together. And the length of time to put them together is prohibiting the fitting of the system. Now, it's important that there are simple instructions to follow. You can access a website, you get full after sales support, particularly here from ToughTech or wherever you buy the solution. And in fact, if you visit the Atlas TPMS website, you'll see it's very much geared to the operator and those that are going to be installing and those that are going to use the TPMS system to extract the benefits from it. Most, again, I use the term most importantly, but these are our customers highlighting to us what's important to them. Systems that are designed from other manufacturers tend to be, from tyre manufacturers, tend to be relative to their tyre usage. So for them, extracting the data is a very key part of why they fit TPMS systems. The Atlas approaches it differently. It's very independent in its use. It means any tyre, any machine, any vehicle, any brand really, within any market segment of industry, from on the road haulage to off the road mining and extraction, the Atlas can be used. It doesn't discriminate against the tyre, the machine, or even the operator. It's total tyre independence. Now, I mentioned about consuming the data and how we visualize the data. So I'll start by saying, well, you can access this data via the web. Now, for connected technology, it's very important to understand that it's not just the operator accessing all of this information. There are multiple players that can access this information, and whoever is the senior person purchasing the technology, they can determine in layers who is going to access the machine, TPMS. So in this particular case, the web application allows anybody given the access to the information that they're able to see. And that's via the form of a dashboard. And the dashboard is there to give you by exception reporting. Indeed, the Atlas does by exception reporting, because we recognize that as a quarry manager, whether you have 30, 50, 100 or more machines, as I talk to clients in Africa, for example, they have more machines than that. They need a system that just tells them when there's a problem. So how do we do that? Well, it's through a triage system, and those alerts are highlighted immediately, both on the dashboard here and as we'll see from the mobile application. Every vehicle, every tyre information is able to be accessed, but the system works off a triage system. So if there is a minor problem on the tyre, perhaps a slow leak, for example, an amber alert will sound and be pushed through, and that alert will be pushed through to the user and all of the other personnel that's involved in the safety of that person and machine and site, and they're able to respond quickly. Now, looking at the data sheets, there's just some examples I've put up for you. So the top sheet shows the geographical location, the triage system on the right-hand side. For the quarry manager, though, there is an extra layer to this, and one that I think they'll really enjoy, and that's the middle slide that I've put in here. So getting that data insight is crucial into running the operation, and markers such as the cycles that tyres undertake. I mentioned before that a tyre is built with what in mind? It's built with to carry a load safely over distance and over at a certain speed. Now, in a quarry, we have what's called cycles, as many of you will know that. So it's important that the information relayed relates to these cycles on the tyres. So, for example, the length of time of each journey, the distance travelled, and indeed, we have a number of features as well that will be delighted to show quarry managers, where they could potentially receive an alert should a cycle be exceeded. So this is very much geared and in mind with the quarry operations. So over that journey that you can see highlighted by the black line there, you're able to plot a line over that journey in order for you to see and have a good indicator of the tyre health whilst it's been travelling around the quarry. And the bottom slide I've put in there, you can consume the data on tyre pressure monitoring and temperature, either in graph form, you can report it in the graph form, or you can report it in a table form, whichever is easier. There's a wealth of reporting that can be had from the data and a wealth of insight. So that's a web application. Let's have a look at the mobile application. I mentioned this. On the go, all the TPMS data on any vehicle. If you're authorized to see it, you can see it. And most importantly, whilst you're on the go, You can receive detailed alerts via the notification center on the smartphone, or indeed for the smartwatch. If you own a smartwatch, it can be pushed through as well. It's important because you'll need to take immediate action if there is a problem. Remember that 70% proactive maintenance. That brings all kinds of benefits, not only for the customer, but for the tyre service provider using it, increasing productivity whilst also being mindful of making sure everybody's safe in the operation. So, just to reiterate, and it's a very good point that I've put on here. We operate a global technology, but we have customers that want their operators and other personnel to be able to see and visualize and understand the data that they're getting. At the moment, the mobile app is available in 12 languages. And the reason for that is, as I mentioned before, it's very customizable and flexible, this system. So if we have a quarry operator that's very interested in their language and putting that in as part of their usage, then we can respond to that. And indeed, the mobile app is developing all the time. It's got some great functionality. So as well as seeing the current tyre status on the go, you can understand where the location is, you have diagnostics, you can even customize whether you want bar, PSI, etc. So it really is its own functional tool and its own standalone tool as well. Some operators prefer to have our in-cab screen, or sometimes just have the mobile phone and understand what the tyre information is before they operate. So, in conclusion, I'd just like to summarize before I come to some of the questions that I know that have been coming in according to the team here. We know that tyre pressure monitoring is a very, very valuable technology that can improve safety, reduce downtime. We've given illustrations of this, increase efficiencies, and save costs for the industry itself. The implementation of tyre pressure monitoring systems does bring challenges for those that I've mentioned, such as OEMs, tyre manufacturers, tyre service providers, and that's things like compatibility issues, high costs, sort of a return on investments for those that have started to develop tyre pressure monitoring systems. And of course, there's a lack of standardization throughout the industry. And I think the good thing about Atlas is for all of those that I've mentioned, it's an off-the-shelf solution, so it's readily available. It almost, if you like, standardizes the industry, working towards this connected solution. Now, we talked about the use of Atlas, and I have mentioned it because here at Tough Tech, it is our flagship product for tyre pressure monitoring, with a heritage that I believe is unrivaled. It can improve tyre performance, all the things I've mentioned before, and fuel consumption, increase productivity. I've even give you an example of that. It is a leading solution, I feel, in the OTR industry. If there's anybody that would like to come with comments and obviously invite me to talk about it, I would absolutely be delighted to. I'd also be delighted to hear from. I know we've got tyre pressure monitoring providers that are currently watching the webinar here. I'd invite us as a community to get together to ensure that operators and customers are safe while producing the material they do, but also we can increase our productivity and profitability. We all benefit from that. So I was going to finish up by saying that providing educational materials, support is crucial. It's absolutely crucial. And using the Atlas website can do that. Please, I encourage you to visit the Atlas TPMS website. It contains a host of information for our community that talks about extracting the best possible use out of the solution. Now, of course, if you'd like to pose any questions, I know we've been having some coming through actually, so I don't know all the questions that are coming through, so I'm looking forward to this. So we have one here which says TPMS is not going to give much advantage if it's the nature of the work, unfortunately. Debris and excessive load transfer has its cost. Well, I hope I've explained to the questioner there um, that there's no exclusivity here. We can increase productivity. Yes, there's a lot of debris caused on site. What's some of the causes of that? Let's examine, for example, if I've got a correctly inflated tyre, able to carry the load safely and cushion that load, maybe not as much debris may come out onto a haulage road, for example. Excessive load transfer. Again, if I have a correctly inflated tyre, the manufacturer has already factored this in while designing an OTR tyre, and therefore cushioning the load and making sure that the tyre pressures are kept to their optimum to ensure that it's giving you the very best, even if there is excessive load transfer. TPMS has been poorly sold with little or no real service element, leaving to drivers to ignore alerts or ripping wires out. I think I've just covered actually that in the fact that yes, I know this has been a problem historically for many users of other TPMS systems. There's been no real service element, so they've kind of fitted the system, and that has been it. You encouraged to work with it. Um, we've completely done away with that and made sure our customers receive the very best service element they possibly could whilst purchasing, installing, and using. And as we've seen, positioning the Atlas unit, the operator is not going to be able to get to it anyway. And other players are able to see, other viewers that are involved in the safety of that operator machine can also see the tyre pressure monitoring at the same time. And TPMS systems have been inconsistent with the data they send back. Needs to be accurate. I couldn't agree more. And our heritage has made sure with the Atlas system that we have the very best leading system that ensures accurate data coming back. We also help our operators understand what to do with that data as well. So not only are we providing that data for a better operational insight and therefore operators to make business decisions and site decisions, but we're also on hand to interpret things like tire data, etc. Are they using the right tire? This journey that's just been undertaken, is that haul road, has it got excessive gradients? These are the things that the data can help the operator run more efficiently. When a TPMS system is suggested to a customer, the person who recommends it should also know the application of the tyre and fully understand the haul cycles. Also, what is the customer hoping to get out of the data? Well, there's two parts there. That's a really good question, actually. Firstly, you're absolutely right. One thing we pride ourselves here at Subtech is to have customer knowledge and product knowledge. And so the application of that product is a key component when we deal with our clients. We should know about things like cycles, hopefully the whole cycle I've just explained, and we provide the data for those whole cycles. So let me give you an example. If the customer is exceeding the whole cycle, an alert comes up, for example, from the data, then the customer is able to respond rapidly to it. So the customer is hoping to get out of the data a better insight into the management of their fleet and their operation, and therefore can make timely business and maintenance decisions as well. Is there an early warning system that can send notifications to a fleet manager who will then alert the operator? Well, that again another good question because technology has moved on so quickly from when tire pressure monitoring systems were confined to the operator's cabin. Only the operator was the only player within the safety game. The system, particularly the Atlas system now, being connected means that there are multiple personnel that's connected to that machine. So, as an overwatch for that operator and for that machine, notifications are pushed out to all of those that have authorized access to the data. And then the fleet manager, or indeed the operator themselves, will know that there is a problem, particularly with tyres, that they can react to. So, yes, there is an early warning system. It's done by the triage I mentioned, an amber alert and a red alert. Are you able to download data without manual pressure measurements? Absolutely. The whole point of this, when we designed in 2017 the first Atlas connected system, it was with operators' safety right at the forefront. You do not need to take a manual pressure measurement. Indeed, I've explained that the Atlas system will do it for you, even when the tire pressure is cold for you. Why is that important? Well, firstly, tire pressure should only be undertaken by trained personnel on OTR and Earthmover tires. So if you haven't got trained personnel, then the next best thing is technology delivers that information without you needing to move from the cab, the office, the home office, anywhere. You can access the tire pressure, temperature, and monitoring from your phone. No need to approach those tires, no need to disturb the furniture on those tires. So, how do you monitor temperatures inside the tyre if you are only recording pressures from outside? Okay, that's a really good question, actually. And I would say that's almost in two parts, whoever sent that in. So, firstly, monitoring temperatures inside the tyre. Well, you may or may not be aware that any tyre, even if it's static and the machine is not moving, so there's a direct correlation when we're dealing with ambient temperature, where perhaps sunlight accesses one part of a tyre and then another. The same can be said for when the tyre is on the move. At each point of those tyres, there are multiple different temperature recordings. Within both the outer, with the outer and the inner of the tyre. And therefore, we have to take an average. And like the pressure that's taken from that tyre, the sensor is extracting both the accurate pressure reading and an average of the temperature within the air in that tyre. Now, what are we looking for when we look for in changes of tyre temperature? Well, quite simply, what we're doing is we're looking to react to any drastic changes in tyre temperature. Well, we know that pressure dictates temperature. So, for example, if a tyre has a progressive air loss and it's going down rapidly, then we know the tyre temperature will rise as the flexing of the sidewalls, for example, on a radial tyre will cause more heat. So because it causes more heat, naturally the temperature will rise inside. So you're looking for the correlation between its normal working parameters and to a rapid change. So that's what we're doing with tyre temperature. But for me, the most important thing has always been the pressure. And the second part was pressure calibration when inflated with nitrogen. Ooh, I like this question because I've always been a very keen fan of inflation with nitrogen, not just because it prevents oxidization of both tyre components and such as the cords, but of the wheel rim, etc. I can assure you that the pressure checked, even with the nitrogen and all the benefits it brings, the pressure calibration is checked and you will get an accurate reading from there. The problem of electromagnetic interference, which is a big problem, especially at our smelters or working near power lines. The problem with antennas losing signal, bad mounting of the devices. Again, this is a multiple part question, but whoever sent this in, thank you so much, because this is one that I do come across more and more. So let's deal with problem of electromagnetic interference and power lines. Like all technology is affected by this. Indeed, sometimes if you go into a workshop, you've almost created a Faraday cage within the workshop. So accessing the data may not be the most reliable thing to do at that time. It may not be able to come over from the cloud into where you're viewing it. The fortunate thing for us is that machinery, by its very nature, most of the mining and extraction machinery is on the move. So chances are they'll move away from this interference, and therefore you can get that data sent up to the cloud. But you can actually prevent bad mounting of the devices through just using the mobile app. The mobile app will actually tell you if this device has not been mounted correctly. And I probably equate the fitting of, say, the Atlas unit to an early 1980s radio set in a car. In fact, you only need a power source, an aerial which is provided for you, and obviously tuning in on the sensors, and you're away. You have the connected technology. So use your mobile app, ensuring great installation for you. So I think, what kind of feedback, Justin, thank you very much. What kind of feedback have you had from customers using the product? Wow, I could wax lyrical all day. I'm so proud of the team, the product, and it's fair to say that the product has been designed, developed, and continually developed, manufactured as well, all within a 30-mile radius in the UK here. So it truly is a revolutionary TPMS product. The kind of feedback I've had from customers, that was a very good one there. 70% of all tyre maintenance undertaken thanks to the alerts from the Atlas unit. I haven't met a customer that hasn't really enjoyed the benefits that the Atlas system brings. In fact, I'd probably even urge you, if you're interested, try one of the products. Try one to work with us. And I think the most important thing is not just the system where we've experienced high satisfaction, but high satisfaction from the after service, the education, etc., that we provide with it. Well, thanks, Justin, for that question. I'd be delighted to share more with you offline. That's it for today. If anybody's interested out there, get in touch with myself or the team through the Atlas website or contact us personally. We'd be happy to talk more offline. Email me again with any questions you may have. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you. We're building a great community here using the Atlas products and those that are coming to the Atlas products, and indeed throughout industry. Thanks very much for your attendance, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.